continuar, né? Acho que talvez dê pra terminar esse jogo hoje. Hum, tá. Acho que. Deixa eu baixar mais um pouco. Esteja um pouco alto. Eu vi um negócio. Cadê? Que? Isso aqui é tipo. Que já foi assistido até agora. Então ainda tem bastante coisa. Tá. Hum, deixa eu perguntar sobre. Deixa eu perguntar sobre isso. Perguntar, pesquisar.
Yes. I inherited it from my parents, so it made sense to move back. Me and Simon. Felt like going back to old ways before the pregnancy. Reminded me of being a girl, a dollhouse in the attic, old things.
Attic.
We didn't sleep in my parents' bedroom for a long time. We decorated it as soon as we moved in, but it was another year before we started sleeping there.
Tá.
In the bedroom,
Diga. Ué. In the bedroom.
that can't be right. In the bedroom.
Ué, de novo? No caso, ela tá questionando o local onde encontraram o Simon. No bedroom? É. Pera. Attic. Sim? Attic. Ah.
Yes. I read a lot as a child and watched lots of TV. Then the doll's house we had, we still have in the attic. It's kind of a fairy castle. We used to play up there and make up our own stories.
Attic. Attic é. Eu esqueci o que quer dizer attic, mas é tipo. É o sótão ou porão? Não sei. É o sótão, é. Attic.
Could the hairs have come from somewhere else? I mean, could they... We have a lot of dolls in the attic. There's a Rapunzel doll with long blonde hair. Could they have come from there?
Hã?
She recognised me from the window. She told me to come inside, and she hid me. They had made the attic into a place where Hannah could play. There was a dollhouse. She hid me up there. No one else ever went into the attic. It was her place.
Hã? Tá parecendo que. Pô, está confuso. A música trocou de novo.
I'm not sure where the dollhouse came from. I don't know if it was given to them or they inherited it. I mean, they wouldn't have had the money to buy it. It was so huge It must have been taken up to the attic in parts and then reassembled up there. It's a beautiful thing. Wallpaper to scale, little furniture, the lights work, mirrors, beds, big duvets and pillows.
Perfect.
We spent hours and hours playing in it, invented all these characters and families who lived there. We wrote paperwork for them all, passports, diaries, and gave them all really elaborate stories. Once, a moth got trapped in there. We'd left a light on. It was making the most horrendous noise. We tried to kill it, but it was tough. We ended up crushing it under a copy of the Arabian Nights.
Tá. Pesquisei tag, I guess. Eu acho. Já. Family. Eu pesquisei family. Não. É? Nossa senhora.
Yeah, when I was at school. I worked part-time in the front shop. It was sort of an extended family thing. My dad used to work there, my mum worked there before I was born. I took care of paperwork, filing, typing out invoices, that kind of thing. It was a good job for a girl back then. I didn't work a till or anything, though. I was quite shy, so I wouldn't have liked to have worked a till.
Pô, se não tem essa legenda. Se não tem essa legenda, é muito difícil de compreender ela falando, né, com sotaque britânico aí.
No, I was 15. Carl was older, 17, I think. I was really into him, regardless of how he actually behaved. Lots of drunken teenage sex. We did it in a church once. Stupid.
Oh?
So he got tired of us and we split up after about 6 months. It was sad, but those early experiences, they help you realise who's really important to you, you know? Family.
Ela falou us?
Family. So, Carl fucked off, and then there were other boys here and there,
Carl.
and then Simon.
Ela namorou então esse Carl.
Florence was a warm, kind
Florence.
person. But she was broken, I guess. When I found her diary, I also found a biscuit tin with other stuff in it. Older papers, letters, that kind of thing. Her story wasn't there. I never really spoke to her about it. I was far too young to really understand, I guess. I just put it together later, once I was older. She had loved children, planned to have a large family, but her husband died in the war. And that was back when you married for life. She never felt like she could marry again. Isn't that strange? She was a widow from her 20s. Well, I mean, I guess it was different then. You know, you married for life and she felt she could never marry again. I guess it was harder, a war widow. One of the dead. I don't know, maybe there was more to it than that. I don't really know.
Tá, ela falou Carl, Florence e Larry. Você já pesquisei esse Florence? No caso, her, né? Não. Tá.
No, it was just me and her. It was the name they were going to call their first child. They talked about it and were going to try when he came back. Florence's family had a history of firstborn girls, so they were convinced it was going to be a girl.
A girl.
It's hard to know if this is all true. These are stories I remember that I read when I was a child.
And
Maybe
I read.
misread. Maybe I misunderstood. Sometimes it's hard to remember what happened last week.
Tá. Oh. Sei. Essa música deu. Acho que é essa, deu copyright na live da Twitch.
Was he my first? No need to be so coy. No, he wasn't my first. That would have been Carl. He was a local boy in a band. He was a bit of a shit. But he was sexy. We were 15.
Tá.
Differences? She's a better driver than me. She passed the test for us. I tried to take it and nearly crashed the car. Learned that you can't rely on confidence to get you through everything. She is the shy one. She was especially shy around boys. If Hannah liked a boy, I would have to pursue him. It was that way with Carl. Hannah met him first. She had such a crush. I let him take my virginity after a night that his band had played at. It got difficult. When I was with Carl, we would have sex, but Hannah couldn't let him see she was a virgin. She had lots of excuses. After a while, we decided that I should take Hannah's virginity. It's not that different to a bruise, pulling a tooth.
Conversa é essa, velho?
We used a hairbrush. After that, we took it in turns, though. I was always the one who seduced the boys. Until Simon.
Pô, que conversa toda torta. Ave. Tá, pelo que entendi. Isso aqui ela é Eve. São gêmeas, então. Hannah e Eve. E aparentemente Simon traiu a Hannah com a Eve. É isso.
Hannah was so smitten with Simon. She started getting jealous. Didn't want to share. Even the first date. We went to see Tom Cruise at the Old Odeon. We both went. Kept changing places in the toilet. We only had one best dress, so we had to keep swapping clothes. Must have thought we had terrible bladder problems.
Ah,
The next date, it was my turn. At the end, I let him kiss me, but that was it. We didn't want another Carl on our hands, and the Ouija board had said to hold back. After that, it was Hannah's turn, and she slept with him. Broke the rules. Deliberately broke the rules. She wanted to be the first to sleep with him.
que viagem esse jogo, velho.
That's when she got pregnant. From that one time.
Nossa senhora. Olha o fantasma aí de novo. Elas trocavam de lugar.
No, he doesn't keep a diary. That's my thing. I've kept one, well, as long as I can remember, since I was a girl. Helps make sense of my day. And when you're forced to put something into words, just gives you perspective. Everyone's on the same page.
Tá.
Across the road, where my parents first lived there, was a midwife called Florence. When Hannah was born, I was born at the same time. The midwife was there to help. I'd been throttled by the cord, probably wrapped around my neck by Hannah. The midwife told my mother I was dead. But I wasn't. She wrote all this stuff in a diary. Amazing what people will admit to on paper.
Aí de novo. Tá chegando perto do fim.
When I was 8, Mother died. She slipped down the stairs. It was an accident. I had read a diary at that point and I knew she wasn't my real mother. So I burned the diary that day and I left. Walked out and across the street.
Oh.
Just became our way of life. We would swap places and take it in turns to do things. And we were very careful. Whoever had been out that day would come back and write a detailed diary so that we were on the same page. We had a list of rules that said what we could and couldn't do in any given situation. It was exhaustive. We lived a second life through those rules. Rules for things that could only ever happen inside our imaginations. We would consider all the permutations of future events and agree rules to walk our way through them.
Que viagem. Isso aqui tá igual a história do Grande Truque.
Florence took me home with her. Mother hadn't been expecting twins and had a healthy baby. I guess she was just happy for Florence to clean up. Take away the evidence that this was anything but a happy occasion. Florence raised me in her home. I never left it. She kept me out of sight. It wasn't odd for people to see a midwife with a baby, carrying in supplies, washing nappies, that sort of thing. I never knew any different. I grew up looking out of my window and seeing her across the road, I thought it was like a reflection in the mirror. She was me.
E aí, ó, o homem de novo. Tá. Assombração. Ah, o que eu posso pesquisar? Eu pesquisei isso? Order. Já, acho que esse é a primeira pesquisa que já vem. Ah. Hum.
You want me to play something?
Não.
I'm not the world's greatest guitar player. Okay? Probably needs tuning. No, it's okay. How about a traditional ballad? Should be right up your street.
Almost Heaven. West Virginia.
There were two sisters came walking by the sea. Oh, the wind and the rain.
Nossa senhora, isso
The
tudo.
eldest one pushed the other one in. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. See, they both had a love for the captain's son. Oh, the wind and the rain. But he only cared for the youngest one. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. Oh, the eldest envied her sister fair. Oh, the wind and the rain. With a pretty little face and a long blonde hair. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. So she pushed her in and held her down. Oh, the wind and the rain. Watched her as she slowly drowned. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. Oh, she floated up and she floated down. Oh, the wind and the rain. Floated till a ship came by. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. Out comes the captain's son. Oh, the wind and the rain. Father dear, here swims and swan. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. And then it gets really weird, so I think that's a good place to stop.
A música é literalmente essa questão delas aí ficarem trocando no caso serem a mesma pessoa, né?
When she went home, Sam had a birthday tea waiting. Afterwards, she told Simon about me.
Ela
Told him I was pregnant. She wanted me to move in with them, this sister he didn't know she had. She knew that instant. The look on his face.
Eu acho que ele se matou. Oh, mãe. Ao saber que elas estavam manipulando ele, né?
She sent him out the house, kicked him out, called me up, crying, and I went round. I guess I had a feeling I could hear something was wrong in her voice, but I wasn't sure what it was. She called me sister on the phone. She never calls me that. My sister is gone. And she's never coming back.
Hã? Tem um rosto aqui. Tem um lábio aqui. Hum.
Twins? Really? Are you really asking me that question? Are you out of your mind? Twins? There were always princes and princesses. They were the special people, more important than the other characters in their stories. We knew we were like that. Twins. Magical. We were the princesses. We had a poster of Princess Diana from the newspaper up in our attic. Had a pride of place. And underneath we used to put all our special things. When her engagement was announced, we were obsessed with everything she did. And later, when her life went so bad, we felt for her. Her divorce last year just kind of drew a line under things.
Hum. Suspicious. Oh. Sim, errei. Oh.
I thought it made me sound suspicious. It's not a normal thing to do, to drive to the other end of the country. I wanted to keep it simple. I know it was stupid not to tell you everything. Saying I spent the night in Glasgow when my husband went missing, I thought it would, distract you from what was important. It's different now. Now
He's dead.
They said it was food
Nossa
poisoning.
senhora. Tava apertando o
There
dano.
was something in the food they ate. My dad liked to pick mushrooms.
Poison?
Too. They
Mushrooms.
said it was the mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
It was hard to believe. Death caps. They have a skirt around the cap. My dad taught me that. But I mean, the police had no reason to think it was suspicious. They lived alone, and no one had any reason to hurt them. At the time, they said it was poison, food poisoning. I mean, I felt so guilty. If I'd still been at home, maybe I could have done something. I don't know.
É, né? Tem desse.
I was living in the attic. It was a very hard time. I was depressed, was still pretty sick of the STD. And I came down one morning and they were dead. They were in bed and both had been sick. They'd thrown up a lot. And I'd slept through it. The police said it was the mushrooms they ate. Dad was a mushroom expert. I mean, he used to take us picking with him and he taught us how to recognise them. And there's no way he would have picked death caps. But the police believe that's what happened. They never even looked in the attic.
Suspeito.
When you suspect someone of murdering their husband.
Oh. De novo.
When you suspect someone of murdering their husband. Okay. So you want to eliminate me as a suspect?
É, meu filho. Por isso que tem interrogatório.
That should eliminate me as a suspect. If I was in Glasgow, can't be in two places at once.
Exato, então foi a outra, né? Você acabou de explain. E tá indicando que foi a outra, né? Pelo conhecimento em cogumelos e já que uma tava lá fazendo os exames, a outra tava aqui.
This is the third day running you've called me in. I speak to Doug and Eleanor every day. And they say you've been asking a lot of questions. About me. Should I be worried? Am I a suspect?
Actually. Deixa eu ver, ela falou da regras restritas que elas tinham de seguir. Só tem um falando.
It lasted about 6 months. I tried to carry on, but everything was different. Hannah insisted I not pretend to be her around Simon, let alone sleep with him. We didn't share him like the others. The rules had changed. Me living in the attic had become weird in a way it hadn't been before.
Pronto, Hannah tava meio que tipo apaixonada pelo Simon e não queria dividir, enquanto a outra tava escondida no sótão. Que viagem. Ah, deixa eu ver aqui. Aí, ó. Mais cheio. Tem. Esse amarelo, não sei se tem mais alguma coisa próxima ou se foi o último que a gente viu. Aí, 4. Isso aqui é às vezes que a palavra é citada. Tem um aqui que tem 270 alguma coisa. Aqui, ó, 271. Hum. Acho que já tá perto do final esse jogo. Eu tô vendo aqui um guia de palavras-chave desse jogo, porque pra não ficar tão parado às vezes, tendo que rever vários vídeos novamente. É, ela falou de blonde. Tem um.
This other person doesn't exist. I don't know what the blonde wig is, but it could be anything.
Ah, ela usava
You looked at the cat flap.
por isso que ele não reconheceu a Eve no bar. A Eve que no bar se chamava Ellen, né? That's why. Pesquisei. Blood. Não?
Okay. I've given blood before. Do you need to take that for your records?
Hã?
Nothing like this has ever happened to me before. The blood. It's probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Well, fine, considering. I got back into the house today, and that was weird, knowing your people have been there through my things. It's like I've been burgled. I mean, worse, obviously. I don't know. I haven't lived in the cellar yet. They sent a cleaner in. As good as new, he said. But they had to throw some stuff out. Couldn't get the blood out. And I'm still waiting to hear from the coroner so we can get a date set for the funeral. It's going to be a cremation. So,
Ele não foi envenenado, foi. Bom,
like I said before, it was 3, something like that. I walked in, saw Simon. He was on the floor of the living room. His throat had been cut.
nossa.
There was a lot of blood. instead.
E esse barulho? É o barulho de gaivota. A hora parece que a hora não passa.
She was sat behind him. She had my wig on. And she'd been there all day. And she had blood on her.
Ih,
And she was in shock.
foi Hannah? Agora a questão é tá. Quem tá sendo quem, né? Se essa realmente é a Eve e a outra é realmente a Hannah. Não tem como responder? Vou escrever good. Ué. Como é que eu respondo? Não sei, não tem. Não tá dando pra responder. Tá, aparentemente foi Hannah. Essas músicas vai dar copyright. Pesquisei husband. Só tem.
I haven't been into work. I guess I've just been waiting to hear from you, hear from my husband.
Hum?
I haven't been into work. I guess I've just been waiting to hear from you, hear from my husband.
Não dá pra responder. Tem como responder? Quem é esse SB? Hum. Hum.
I can take the stuff off now. Did I prove I'm innocent?
Hum.
Yeah, we were 17.
Tem que precisar
It was a nice
17.
wedding, people said.
Wedding, talvez.
Simon looked very handsome in the photos. His parents paid for everything, but he's an only child, so it was important to them. It was what they called a shotgun wedding, but if you looked at the photos, you couldn't tell. The dress was beautiful. It looked like Princess Diana's. The train wasn't quite as long though. There's a great photo of the bridesmaid helping to carry it out of the car. It's like I told you before, I drove. I took the car and drove. I don't have my own car, but I have a spare set of keys. I just drove north. I wanted to think, put some space between me and them. Everything I told you before is true. I stopped at Glasgow. I was tired, exhausted. I pulled out and I hit a car. My car was okay, but I was worried about the baby, so I went to A&E to get the okay. Everything was fine. Slept in the car. When I woke, I tried to call Hannah from a payphone. She wasn't answering. And then I decided to drive back. I had decided that she was more important to me than Simon.
Ué? Tá vendo? É isso aí que eu falei. Quem é quem agora? Porque até então, a Hannah que falou essa história. Qual era a palavra? Qual era a palavra? Oh. Steph Caps que ela falou no. Acho que é o tipo de cogumelo. Ah, tá. Eliminate. Já precisa isso? Glass. Tem vidro.
No, he doesn't have any tattoos.
É
He has
vidro.
a scar down here near his stomach, past his hip. Cut himself with some glass. That was before, a long time ago. He looks just like the photo. He's not got his glasses on here though. He takes them off for the camera. But he needs them to see properly, you know. He has to read a newspaper or a menu in a restaurant. Not book so much, or watching TV. He likes TV. It wasn't the present so much, it was one of those arguments that had been simmering for a while. The present was a mirror, a nice mirror. He'd engraved the glass, the kind of mirror a princess would have in a story. He made it specially for me. Well, on his clothes, that would make sense. He made it by hand. I mean, he brushes the silver onto the glass. That's not how they make mirrors these days. I mean, he made the mirror and he gave it to me. No, I've had enough coffee for today, thanks. Glass of water.
Tinha glasses.
His body didn't look real. And his throat. It looked like his throat had been cut. hence those glasses. He has these thick glasses. It doesn't always work.
Hum. Eu queria responder isso aqui. É que teve uma briga? Já pesquisei. Fingerprints.
Fine. I've never had my fingerprints taken before. I once put my hand on the oven.
Quem nunca?
Fingerprints. Yes, yeah. I would have cleaned them. I changed the sheets too. Were the fingerprints in all those places? Could they have been my parents' fingerprints? I'm not sure how long they last for, but is that possible? Really? Go on then. Take the cup. Run your fingerprints. They'll match. Fucking do it.
E estourou. Glasgow glasses gone.
Oh God, I don't know. I mean, I guess the Rock. You've spoken to everyone there. Someone must have seen where he went. I don't know. So many things could have gone wrong. No, it's okay. The other detective has just gone to get me one. It happened very quickly. We hardly had to talk to each other. We agreed almost silently. The baby was what mattered. We'd help each other. We cleaned up. We bagged up the broken mirror, her clothes. They're gone. We took him down to the cellar. We knew we had an alibi, and we wanted the body to be found later. We wanted to have suspicion on us, so we could then disprove it, rather than have it linger. Better to keep the body in the house than risk being seen with it. The watch, that was my touch, to make sure the alibi stuck.
No caso, foi uma delas matou o cara. Possivelmente a Eve, né? A Eve? Não, a Hannah, já que ele... Ah, não sei, velho, confuso. Uma delas matou. E agora ela acabou de confessar. Então acho que... Tá indo pro finalzinho já. Acho que só mais algumas. Hum, Eu acho que o jogo é sobre isso, né? Tipo, isso praticamente já é um final da história. É, já sabemos o que aconteceu. Agora eu quero ver ah, as outras
No,
confissões.
Simon wasn't seeing another woman.
Ah,
I wanted to see my reflection. I thought that if I touched her, something would happen. We would become one. One girl. The fairy tale was over, the witch was dead, and I'd be restored to my rightful place.
dá pra escrever agora? Escrever só o N? Escrever yes, escrever no. Que no, yes, no. Ah, tá. Nossa senhora. Hum,
A wig? You mean... What type of wig?
a blood one. Blonde, no caso, blood. Ah, pô, a história é legal, velho.
No, I've never worn a wig. What kind of wig?
A long blood, I didn't, again, blonde hair.
No. The parents decided there would be a wedding. And after the wedding, Hannah moved in with his parents. There was no way I could follow. So we were separated again. I stayed in the attic. It was hard. It's like I suddenly didn't exist. I would sneak out, but in case anyone recognized me, I started wearing a wig. Hannah and I would meet up in the park. I was trying to get pregnant. But I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't do it with anyone we knew, so it was sex with strangers. Drunk guys I'd met in clubs, in parks and alleyways.
Estava virando
I was 17. It felt like I was being punished.
Tô vendo, 17 anos fazendo isso tudo.
It does. I had to stop when one of the guys gave me an STD. When we met up, it was disturbing. For the first time, my reflection, she didn't look like me. She was fatter, flushed. If anything, I was getting skinnier. I found it hard to look sometimes. We talked about what to do. Was it time to become our own people? I mean, that seemed like the right thing to do, but neither of us wanted it. We agreed that her and Simon would get their own place as soon as possible, and then I could move in. And that was the plan.
Elas aí. Oh, mãe. Elas ainda iam continuar com toda essa história aí.
This was about 9. I went round and she was waiting for me. She was furious and so angry, the kind of anger you can only have towards yourself. We screamed at each other, argued, cried, we fought. I hit her back, left a bruise. I had my wig on from performing and she tore it off. Eventually, we grew tired of fighting and I left.
Oh.
Well, she has a knife. She's been cooking, I guess. She's been cooking him his favourite meal. She's his wife. And he's asleep and she doesn't want to wake him because he's ill. That's why she's sad. Because he's ill and he might die. It's kind of a sad story, so I'm not sure how it ends.
Esse finalzinho que ela falou. Se não tem a legenda, você não entende. Ah! Escrevi errado. Weird.
Okay. Sounds weird. I'm not great at making up stories.
Só isso. Wedding. Tem vídeo.
I guess you could call it that, but we were both happy to get married. It was a beautiful wedding. We had our first dance to Come Back and Stay. I'm not sure if that's a good wedding song, but I loved it. I chose it. I mean, it was genuinely our first dance. We'd never danced together before. It was probably awful to watch, but I enjoyed it. It felt like it was just me and Simon for that moment. Just the two of us.
Just the two of us. Showing. Try.
Okay. I'll try my best to remember.
Time.
I left the next day, Saturday.
Você ela tá
Spent
nervosa?
a few hours in the car. When I woke up, I came straight back. Simon wasn't returning my calls and I wanted to try and make up. I got back to the house and Simon wasn't there and I... Excuse me. Is there a bin?
Não era nervosa, né? Nossa senhora. Trap it. Trap it. Tá. Pesquisei isso. 10. Then
No, no cat. My parents had a cat before they died called Domino. It was this little black thing with white dots. And we never did anything about the cat flap, but if you were thin, you could maybe squeeze through it. The mirror. I can't remember. I put it somewhere safe. Upstairs, I think. I haven't looked at it since. We were obsessed with fairy tales. Not just the pretty, pretty ones, but the traditional ones. They were dark and real, bizarre and violent. Felt like life. We had this huge old book that I think Mum must have bought from a library sale. The illustrations had thin tracing paper over them to protect them. They were in colour, shiny plates. At the front of the book was an index of illustrations. We read that more than the actual stories. We'd read aloud the captions and flip between the pictures. There was something intimate about peeling back the tracing paper, undressing the pictures. Rapunzel's hair is cut. The eagle plucks out his heart. The princess pricks her finger.
let's see. Um, garganta.
On his throat. How?
How? Uma faca, né?
Her story is that she'd waited for him to come back. She put on my wig, some of my clothes, pretended to be me.
Ah, that's why.
They talked. She'd enjoyed being me. He said he wanted to be with me. Then he took out a present. Another mirror. Just like the one he'd given her earlier.
E
That unique present.
aí foi.
She went crazy, smashed the mirror. They argued, screamed. He hit her. So she grabbed a piece of the mirror and just swung it round.
Ah,
She cut his throat clean open. She'd only meant to scare him off.
vacilo da parte dele ter dado o presente especial, né? Pra outra. Mas vacilo mais ainda da parte delas por querer viver desse jeito. Viver essa brincadeira.
Could I have a cup of tea?
Cup of tea.
A cup of tea would be good, thanks. Just one sugar.
Tipo, a história já acabou, né? Eu só tô.
Maybe a fresh cup of tea?
Só tô vendo o restinho das confissões. Não sei se tem uma última confissão, né? No caso da Hannah admitindo, né?
Oh, my tattoo. I got it to express my individuality. It's an apple and a snake.
Tá. Sim.
Mum and Dad never knew what was going on. Got so good at it. We were so in sync that we'd use each other to cheat. If one of us had a hangover, the other one would go to school. Whoever was best at a subject would sit the exam. There were lots of differences between us. Some things one is better than the other at.
Strong.
Oh, tastes fine to me. As long as it's black and strong, I'm good.
Straight. Oh.
Let me see. Yes. I drove in here because I remember well I went over the river. And then there was a church. There. Yeah. And I probably parked. Well, I remember seeing a street sign called Princess Street. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it must be this one. There.
Eu pesquisei story. Acho que já. Não?
Yes. Like a story. A beginning, a middle, and an end. Well, she wasn't my real mother, but she raised me. Do you want to hear the story? It's a real life fairy tale.
Sound. Ah, se for. Ah, essa aqui eu não vou ver não. Se for outra. Ah,
Really? Okay.
1 minuto e 50.
Here's the rest. Oh, they laid a body on the dock to dry. Oh, the wind and the rain. Till a fiddler with a fiddle came walking by. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain.
Deve estar muito alto.
And he made a fiddle bow of her long
Baixar um pouquinho.
oh, the wind and the rain. Yes, he made a fiddle bow of her long blonde hair. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. And he made fiddle pegs of her finger bows. Oh, the wind and the rain. Yes, he made fiddle pegs from her finger bows. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. And he made a fiddle out of her breastbone. Oh, the wind and rain. The sound could pierce a heart of stone. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. But the only tune that the fiddle could play was oh, the wind and the rain. Yes, the only tune that the fiddle could play was oh, the dreadful wind and rain.
Rain.
Anything you sing may be used as evidence against you.
Do nada.
I sleep on the right side of the bed as you come in from the door. You can tell because I have 2 pillows and he just has 1. Simon was very moral about that sort of thing. He wouldn't just walk out there and sleep with anyone. He wasn't that kind of guy. He took his marriage very seriously.
Shirley. Já pesquisei Sister, já, né? Já. Ficou mais um de cantar. Já foi. Simon já foi. Compartilhar.
When beautiful people died, we always felt like it was a sign. You remember Princess Grace? Grace Kelly?
Grace
She died
Kelly.
in a car crash the year before we met Simon. We used a Ouija board to speak to her, and that gave us the power to find him. That's what we thought then. That people who died tragically leave some kind of magic behind. We used to share dreams. We used to wake up and write them down in our diaries immediately and compare them.
Aí são 2 mulheres com problema na cabeça. 17. 17.
A long time. We got married when I was 17. I did. Well, we met when we were 17, both working at the Glaciers.
Glaciers. Eu queria ver se. Espera. Não. Ah, tá. Tem mais alguns aqui. Mas aqui tinha um antes, então. A última confissão já foi feita. Principalmente foi aquela que ela falou aqui. A outra quebrou o espelho e cortou a garganta dele. Deixa eu ver. Acho que vai ser isso aqui mesmo. Pô. Jogo legal. Diferente. O resto é mais tipo. Sei lá. Sei lá, 100%. História daria um filme. Daria um filme legal pra assistir. Isso aí. É. Nossa senhora. A gente é o moleque. Que viagem. Sarah. No caso, não o moleque, mas a criança, né? Muito bom. Viva Cypher. O nome dela? Muito bom o joguinho, velho. É isso aí. Crazy, crazy story. Falou, Ian. Até uma próxima live.